there's a lot of options, but one of the main things is to, besides looking at the competition, it's to build the authenticity in from the beginning. And so what you want to do, for instance, if you're want to engage and please Gen Zs, is involve Gen Z customers or people like your customers, people you want to have as your customers, involve them in the development process early. So if you're developing a strategy, a customer experience strategy, involve them early. If you're developing particular interactions, whether they're on the internet or off the internet, involve them early so you can do the testing and observation, get the messaging right, from the beginning. The cases of brand fatigue I see are mostly because brands are making promises. Well, first of all, people have a lot of offers, okay, and they're overwhelmed with offers and promises by brands, whether it's product promises or service promises. And a lot of time the brands don't come through on those promises. So people get tired of listening and they kind of tune those brands out. And so to me, it's, if you want to get through that brand fatigue, you really have to deliver on what you're promising in your messaging early in the customer experience. Now, I mean, certainly there's going to be individuals who are so fatigued because they've had bad experiences. I mean, good experiences usually energize, and bad experiences, to your point, they cause you to get fatigued and turn off. And so, you know, for most of the companies I've worked with, it's you try and find a way that you are better and different, and that'll help you message through and reach the particular customers you want. And then the biggest thing you can do is with the user experiences people have with your services and your products, or, you know, online, is come through on your promises, and then people realize, okay, this is a genuine company. And so that's really, to me, how people will think about it is they're not gonna say, okay, I'm fatigued from that company that came through for me and pleased. They get fatigued from companies that continuously make promises and don't come through, and it's a big turnoff for people. There's a lot of them. But I would say that for customer experience, it's very frustrating for me and a bunch of other customer experience professionals to see people talking about and using journey maps without any customer experience intelligence to support the journey map. So a journey map, or I use what's called a customer experience evaluation template tool. It's not a pretty thing, it's in Excel, but the main thing is you want to get the customer experience intelligence, whether it's numbers or words or observations about particular interactions across all of the customer experience, from discovery until hopefully people will advocate and refer people to the company. And then once you have all that information and you've done your analysis and you've squeezed out the insights, and you know now what you need to do to improve or innovate interactions or the strategy, now you can make the picture you want. But what I see too often is people making a picture, but it's not attached to any customer experience intelligence or enough intelligence. So don't make the picture first, get the customer experience intelligence first, and then you can decide how do you want to illustrate that. One is that what I don't see enough of that makes it into the mainstream is that most of the companies, the customer experience leaders I've interviewed or I've worked with, or the companies that I've helped myself, they're not focused on customer satisfaction. Customer satisfaction is a rating. What they focus on when they're developing customer experience strategies and interactions is they're focused on trying to get customer advocates and referrals. So you're really trying to develop the interactions so that each one could get you a referral, and that raises the likelihood that you will get an actual referral or customer advocate on social media, because you have to please somebody several times in order to usually get them to advocate once. But the other one that I think is really important is when you look at customer experience leaders, you actually see that how they stay effective and how they stay smart about customer experiences, that they use a customer experience intelligence portfolio. It's a group of inputs that they have. It kind of goes to what we were talking about just before about ethnography. Yeah, they have plenty of data. They've got online data, they've got sales data, they've got other internal data, and then they may even have big data about their customers. But then what they do is they carefully tune that combination of what they know about the customers and they know about the interactions customers are having. They carefully tune that by including what's called thick data. And that's where the ethnography comes in, where how can I observe you and get the idea of people, the kind of like the whole person, because I really want to understand the human experience. And sometimes if you only have data, it strips out that human experience of emotion or how people thought their time was used and what they thought an interaction did for them. And so really, I don't see that enough, where it's what are all the ways in a really good combination companies can be effective about customer experience. It has to be holistic, and holistic because each of the ways that you can look at data or observations, or whether you interview somebody or survey them, each one of those has its strengths and weaknesses. So that holisticness, the best holistic group of inputs, actually complements the strengths and weaknesses of the other ones. So if you are going to do, let's say, just look at data, let's say you're looking at your analytics online for particular interactions. Now, if you can observe somebody using your mobile app or website along with that, and combine that with sales data about those interactions, now you've got more of a holistic view of what's going on, and you can make better suggestions. And so I don't see enough of that. It's maybe not a thing you can explain quickly, but the whole thing is that you need those a very holistic view, because where people are complicated and you want to really understand what their experiences are in more depth than is usually talked about. Well, that's a really big question, and a great question. Well, from the customer standpoint, people always want to do better. You know, most people want products and services. They want things to do better things for them. So they're hoping that the new features will do that. But on the other hand, a lot of times a smaller group of people, a subset of people I always want the new thing, whether the features are actually contributing to the newness or not. And so depending on the customer type, there's customer types that they just want to consume the latest and the new thing, and it has to have new features. On the other hand, a lot of companies need to refresh a product, and if they don't have a lot of innovation, they will do it with features. And sometimes those features are innovative, and other times those features aren't innovative. And what happens is a lot of the people that I've worked with, they call that feature bloat. And so you might have a group of features that are giving people what they want and giving people a good customer and user experience. And then if you keep piling on features without testing with real people, because people can get overwhelmed either with the number of features or what features they do use and don't use. So what happens is if you just keep putting features on and not keeping the experience easy and intuitive, you wind up with feature bloat. But it really is interesting because you've got the push side, which is companies saying, we've got something new and innovative, which could be very, very great for everybody, or they're pushing new features because they don't have new products and they're trying to refresh the product life cycle. On the pull side, you've got people, a subset of people demanding, I want something new as fast as you can make it. And so sometimes they get features that are very innovative, and other times they get features that create feature bloat, and then it kind of brings down the user experience. Assuming the user experience was great, sometimes it can be brought down just by piling it on and not testing a feature set. Yeah, no, it has to be smart. And remember, you and I, like many other people, we have a certain limit of how much we can use or how much we can think about at one time. And so the thing in that testing is to make sure that you just don't give people, you don't overwhelm people with features. Even if they're all great features, how do you get them, as you say, to be smart, to be effective? And sometimes also what people do is they want to test it in the environment people are using the features in, because some environments are welcoming and people can use more features. It's quiet, it's peaceful. Other environments are less kind to people, loud. They're distracting environments like a doctor's office or a construction site. And so now you've got to give those people smaller feature sets that they can use at once in a challenging environment. And so just piling on feature sets is a risky thing if you're thinking about pleasing the customer and doing what the customer wants. The customer has certain things they want to accomplish. Well, just like if you buy a product and it's a good copy or a not good copy, you can have companies that businesses or other organizations, it can be in healthcare, for instance, you can have people look at best practices of customer experience and then decide, okay, I want to do that, but some do it in a very good way, a best practice like personalization, let's say. You can do personalization in a very good way, or you can implement personalization in a very poor way. And the worst I've seen is when people in a company think they know, let's say, what personalization is for different customer types, but they don't really check or engage with those customer types to develop the personalization. So really, I've got a whole chapter in my new book simply about best practices in customer experience, and to your point, I encourage companies to look at what has been successful in customer experience leaders and learn from that. But then it's how do you then implement that? And so, for instance, great software companies are going to be testing with real people, and then they're going to be observing them using their software pages or the screens on a mobile app. And so, I can tell you that a best practice is, let's say, human-centered design or customer-centered development of a mobile app. And then if I don't really engage people and do the good quality testing, I'm not going to get the results. And so I'm going to use a best practice the wrong way. And so that's really a big concern of mine is that people want to do it quickly. And there's many great best practices. It's just you have, and the other thing to know is to know when to use the best practice. Are you trying to fix something? Are you trying to improve it? Are you trying to innovate it? So best practices have jobs that they need to do. And if you don't give the best practice a good job match, that's not going to be successful. But if you give a best practice a good job match, that is going to be wonderful and efficient because you're using something that's already proven to be successful. You just have to use it for the right job and then implement it correctly.